I'd like to call the June 28th, 2023 MAG Regional Council meeting to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphones when speaking. For those participating in the room and via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you'd like to comment at today's meeting, please fill out a white request to speak card located on the information table in the hallway and give it to a MAG staff member. And we do have quite a few speakers today. If you parked in the garage, parking validators are available on the information table in the hallway. And if you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available for MAG staff. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members. Andrea?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the Regional Council, I will go down the list of members alphabetically. Please unmute and indicate if you are present. Mayor Beck? Present. Thank you. Vice Mayor Scott Morris, proxy for Mayor Bien Wilner.
Here.
Thank you. President Burnett? Mayor Crane?
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Daniels? Mayor Dickey?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Gallego?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Giles?
Here.
Thank you. Supervisor Goodman?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Hall?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Hartke? President Javier?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Hermosillo?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Lavalde?
Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Governor Roe Lewis? Mr. Mack? Mayor Molina? Mayor Morris?
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Osborne?
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Ortega?
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Pereira?
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson? Mayor Pizzillo?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Rodriguez?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Schoaf?
Here.
Thank you. Supervisor Sellers?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Sykes?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Smith?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Walter? Mayor Wires? Chair Weiss?
Here.
Thank you. Proxy Vice Mayor Jeff Brown for Mayor Wheatley.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Wilson?
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Woods? Is there anyone that I missed? Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you for that. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I would ask as we get close to the 250th birthday of our nation that we remember and pray for those who protect us domestically, overseas, and every day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next item is call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience agenda items unless the committee requests an exception to this. We do have quite a few cards for the call to the audience. Consent agenda. I would love to get through all the cards for call to the audience. So we normally say 3 minutes. If it can be condensed down to 1, I want to give everyone a chance to speak. So if we could do that, that would be great. Thank you all for being here. As I mentioned earlier, there's water and coffee back there if you're thirsty. If you have questions after the meeting, Ed and Eric, if it's possible to have staff address any of those questions out in the hallway so people can get their answers. When I call your name, please come up to the podium right here. And just state your name, don't state your address or say you can just state your name if possible. Diane Barker. Ms. Barker?
Excuse me, Mayor Weiss. This is Bridget Peterson, and I'm present for the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good day, Chairman Weiss, MAG Mayors. I'm Diane Barker. I'm a citizen and an advocate for multimodal transportation. I got my bus pass. And if somebody else had one, you know, I take, say, give me a day. Do you have any time in your day? And I'll show you another way. I've lived in 7 different cities in 3 decades in the Valley, had cars because I was in real estate, and I chose a different way to get around. So I know that it can work. You have to have some patience to be multimodal. And what I'd like to say that I'd like to consider MAG too, think about the financial data software. Your system is over 10 years of age, and I've talked with staff, and it's out of warranty. So, think about that, putting that this year, getting new software. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Claire Michael. Miss Michael? How are you, ma'am?
Good, thank you. Chair, Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Claire Michael. I'm the Climate Equity Director at Wildfire. We are an anti-poverty organization and the State Association for Community Action Agencies who provide direct services to low-income individuals and households across the state. As transportation, especially public transit, is vital for the economic well-being of low to moderate income households. We have been following Prop 400 and are appreciative of MAG for standing strong on this issue. Public transit, like buses and light rail, not only provide benefits to low-income households, but also play an important role in the economy and reduce traffic congestion. For instance, a Harvard study found that commute time is the biggest indicator as to whether or not a person can escape poverty. An inefficient public transit system limits the economic mobility of those reliant on it. And in Arizona, over 1 in 20 households don't have access to a personal vehicle, and just over 1 in 3 households have access to only one. And it's important for youth to have access to after-school programs, for people to have access to expanded employment and education opportunities, and it's a vital tool that allows elderly populations to age in place. And it provides great economic benefit. For every $1 invested in public transportation, approximately $4 is generated in economic returns. That's because 87% of public transportation trips directly benefit the economy by taking people to work and to local businesses. So for these reasons, we appreciate MAG for the support on Prop 400 and continued support advocating for the plan you put forth. Thank you.
Our next speaker, I hope they help with this, is Jane Breakiron. I have that correct? Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jane Breakiron. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I live in Glendale. So when I go into Phoenix, I usually take Olive or Northern up to the 17. And from 35th Avenue up to the 17, you have all kind of people jaywalking everywhere. And now that there's more people riding bikes, they're just as bad or worse as the jaywalkers. So my big concern is if you take away a driving lane and make it a bike lane, that's going to make it much worse because the bikers, they don't look where they're going. They just pull right in front of you, right in front of traffic. They don't pay attention to the lights. So I think it's going to be very dangerous if you do that because you've got more people driving, more congestion, more irate drivers because it's taken them that much longer. And then you have bikers just pulling right in front of you. And it's just going to lead to a lot more accidents and probably more deaths. Thank you.
Next speaker is Lori Silva.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Lori Singleton. I'm president and CEO for an organization called Arizona Forward. I'm here today representing our board of directors and the 150 member organizations, which include many of the municipalities I see here at the table today, as well as utilities, large corporations, small business, and other nonprofits. You may know that Arizona Forward is a 53-year-old nonprofit whose focus is to drive sustainability, economic development, and quality of life for the state. We're here today to acknowledge and say thank you to MAG for standing firm on the Prop 400 provisions related to transit and rail options. As an environmental organization, we believe these transportation modes are critical to the air quality and provide much needed transportation options for Valley residents. We greatly appreciate the work that has been done by MAG, and a big thank you to MAG staff Audra Thomas and John Bullen for always being available to answer our questions and provide us information. We look forward to continued efforts and working together in the future. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sharman. Is it Pullman or Ruhlman? Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you for being here today.
Good morning. My name is Sharman Pullman. Chairman Wise, mayors, and members of the Regional Council. I wanted to talk more about our changes to the public commercial comment process. The changes you made are not an improvement. They are less accessible, less inclusive, and less equitable. At last week's meeting, you had several committee members who attended and voted virtually. I understand extending members who are geographically distributed across a very large county, which Maricopa County is very large, the convenience of participating remotely. But it makes no sense that you require members of the public to drive down from all over the county. You should apply your procedures consistently and provide the same level of accessibility to your meeting for committee members as you do the constituents as they are supposed to serve. Please revisit your public participation process to be more inclusive of community members who can't drive down here by providing a remote option. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Diane Brown, please, our next speaker. Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Good morning, Chairman Wise, mayors, members of the Regional Council. My name is Diane Brown. I'm the executive director of the Arizona Public Interest Research Group, Arizona PIRG, a statewide organization that conducts research, education, and advocacy on issues in the public interest. On behalf of Arizona PIRG, I'm here to thank you for the Prop 400E plan that you unanimously approved. Arizona PIRG recognizes and appreciates that you have had countless meetings on Prop 400. In our countless meetings and conversations with entities and individuals across Maricopa County, we have heard overwhelming support to see the all of the above transportation plan on the ballot and to let the voters decide. While I'm not here to speak for other organizations, I can tell you that the Coalition for Transportation Choices, which I convene, have conveyed similar experiences. As a coalition comprised of organizations that advocate on behalf of senior citizens, individuals with disabilities, consumers, air quality, community interests, local economic impacts, and transit, the reason folks have touted this plan largely centers on the transit experiences that many of you have also stated, from medical appointments to getting to work, to getting to school, to getting to events in the county. In closing, let me just say that Arizona PIRG is here to express our great appreciation for the plan, and we stand ready to help you get it to the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Nikki Coletti, our next speaker. Ms. Coletti, did I say the last name right, correct? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nikki Coletti. And what I wanted to say was that Meg's DEI training, or more like DIE training, is basically brainwashing. It relies heavily on fundamentally on Marxist ideas about power. This is the lens through which they interpret the American ethos and American systems, reducible to the dynamics of coercive power, where everyone can be categorized as oppressor or oppressed. This is how the consultants derive this seriously flawed notion that power is what gives you the ability to become racist, and it's the power that defines whether or not it's racism. Not only is this wrong, if you look at our Western system of governments and believe that all who have success got it through corruption or privilege, and that it can be reduced to white racism, the consultants of your DEI training would term that redundant because only whites can be racist. Then you are either not thinking very deeply about this, or you have an ulterior motive. Because this is nonsensical with even a cursory assessment. After all, we've had a Black president. Arguably, President Obama was the most powerful man in this country. Could he be racist then? Or was he oppressed by the system he taught? Additionally, not all power dynamics are defined by oppression. And this one-dimensional view is a serious admission on behalf of the people purveying it. I feel sorry that someone who sees this interaction with other Americans as dog eat dog, whereby one must win at the expense of others. I don't see it that way, and I don't think most Americans do. I see a country that rewards fair competition and cooperation. It isn't perfect, but it is far from countries that are underlined by the dynamics of oppression. Unfortunately, this isn't theoretical. The scale of human suffering in countries such as Russia, China, North Korea, Venezuela are hard for us even to imagine here.
Ma'am, do you mind? We just have a lot of cards. I'd like to get through as many.
Okay, I got one more sentence.
Thank you, ma'am.
And it would be catastrophic to go down this path. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Our next speaker is Dale Doucette. Do I have that correct? Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Dale Doucette. Appreciate you letting me speak. I had just learned and was actually very appalled when I heard you guys were meeting with such a socialist country such as Venezuela. In my mind, there is nothing we can or should learn from Venezuela, and it is honestly offensive that MAG would invite, and I am guessing subsidize, a trip for the politicians to come here. It's highly offensive to those who have escaped poverty and the oppression that they experienced, and who have since made it to our country and have worked so hard to build a life for themselves and their families, only to see the government that they escaped to holding hands with their past oppressors. It's also offensive to every single taxpayer who would never think their hard-earned dollars would be taken from them and the funneled to the socialists. It's also really odd timing also. I've noticed you've just changed your public participation process, limiting the ability for people to participate virtually. And now, just a week or so later, you are sitting down with the actual socialists to discuss transparency and accountability. What ideas were they able to give you? It really concerns me that you, the agency that directs billions of dollars for transportation projects each year and comes up with plans to purportedly improve our air quality would be meeting with a delegation from a country that has not prioritized taxpayers, has destroyed their economy, has nationalized industries, impoverished millions, and has not been transparent and is not accountable. It's highly disturbing and, in my mind, very unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the comments. Our next speaker, David Winstanley. Sir.
Chairman Weiss, mayors, and members of the Regional Council. My name is David Winstanley. I'm retired Director of Engineering for Honeywell Aerospace. I was responsible for the certification through the FAA and EASA of 5 engines on regional and business jet aircraft. I worked at Honeywell for over 40 years. I am also a member of the Transportation Advisory Board for the City of Mesa. However, I am speaking as a private citizen. Mayor Giles, good to see you again. I'm coming to ask you to support the concept that the legislature recently passed, where we separate for Prop 400 the road works from the transit works. I give you background that while I worked at Honeywell at 34th Street, I rode the transit. I used light rail regularly. I used my bicycle for the last 5 miles from the light rail to my house. When I worked for Honeywell at the Tempe office, I rode 10 miles each way. So I am familiar with alternate forms of transportation, but I am asking you to seriously consider the idea of letting us as voters vote separately on the road parts of Prop 400 and on the transit parts of 400. I did vote for the 2 previous, including 1984 and 2004 Prop 400, but I would like to be able to vote for transit separately from the road, and the citizens that I'm familiar with in Southeast Mesa agree with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Folks, we still have a lot of cards. We are at almost 20 minutes. I'd like to get as many cards in the next 5 minutes as I possibly can, and then move on to the agenda. So there is an April Smith, our next speaker, if possible. Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Yes, I was in the committee last Wednesday and observed what was being discussed in the comments. I found several things that were mentioned interesting and worthy of response. First, there was another person who commented about various options of transportation. There are already various modes of transportation. I pass several buses and public transit often and pay attention to the amount of people on them. I passed 2 just last week, followed them for a bit. They had 1 passenger each. It was moving across the valley. As the light rail, it pulls up right outside front door service. I imagine that you all take this into work every day. Great job. I imagine you, Mayor Giles, have taken it each time you have been here, which has been 3 times in the last 9 days. We are not French people. We are informed individuals, in contrast to the majority of people who are uninformed. We are taking part in the processes all across levels of government and agencies to remind our elected representatives and others that we, the people, we are to be the ones that you are to be protecting our liberties and freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is a Barbara Brewster.
Thank you. And I'd like to suggest that maybe you tell the next 3 or 4 people that are going to speak to be up here and ready.
Thank you, ma'am.
Make things go a little faster. I'm here commenting about race training, and only whites can be racist because whites have power. Now, that is a lot of garbage. We do not need that kind of training in America. In about 1969, I went to sensitivity training in Houston for the Houston Police Department. The agent provocateur, a white guy, said, when I was a little boy, I was taught that you could go to a policeman on the corner and he would help you. Then in dramatic fashion, he would point his hand, but my skin's not black. Implying, of course, that if you had black skin, you weren't going to be treated nicely by the white policeman, which was a bunch of bunk, even in Houston in the 60s or any place in America. No matter the ethnic group you grew up in, we knew in America the 10 Commandments. And the second commandment is love your neighbor. And that means anybody you come in contact with. And basically, that's the way Americans have worked. From a book by Thomas Sowell, I learned that all the ethnic groups migrating in America, Sicilian Italians were considered less than dogs. They were the worst. There certainly was a time where the Irish need not apply for jobs, or the Jews, Italians, and the Mormons had quite a problem too, if you recall our American history. Today, if you work hard, you're honest and happy and trust people, you should do well. And we should all remember Ben Carson. He ran for president in 2016. Well, his mother was ignorant, and she made them read 2 books a week and report to her written. And Ben Carson, if you remember, was a neurosurgeon at Johns Hopkins University and ran for president. That's how much. I also want to say that that all of you should read Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington, because he said that when history is really correctly written, it will thank the Northern white widow who came down to the South after the Civil War, all on her own, and taught the poor Negro Black children to read. If that isn't fantastic, and that's America, and we need to do that. We do the most. Albania is probably the most racist country in the world today, with 60% Muslim and 40% communist. And Rwanda, if you remember, in the 60s, 1991, I think, they had the Hutus were slaughtered with machetes by another Black tribe called the Tutsis. America is not prejudiced. It is a fabulous country to live in. And look at all of you with Latino last names. This is America, where anybody can succeed who wants to.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's kind of going to do it for call to the audience. I want to move on to consent agenda. I'm sorry. Item number 4 is the executive director's report. Ed?
Thank you, Mayor Weiss. I'll be very quick in the interest of time. Just to talk about a couple things that happened in June. First of all, earlier this month, thanks to Supervisor Sellers, chair of the TPC, who hosted a Secure Your Load Day event in which we had testimony from a former Mesa police officer who was nearly killed in an accident because someone didn't secure the load on the back of their truck. He stopped to clear the road and was almost killed in an accident. Supervisor Sellers hosted that. We had every news station in town there, and it brought forward that important idea. I want to thank the supervisor, though, for making the connection between Prop 400 and this issue. Few people know that because of Proposition 400 funding, MAG gives ADOT money to clean the freeways. That's done nowhere else in Arizona that I know of. And it's one aspect of Prop 400 is that our freeways are cleaner because Prop 400 funding has gone to make up the shortfall in state funding for ADOT. So thank you for that. Online now is the annual report for the Maricopa Association of Governments fiscal year 2023. That's available for people to review online. Next slide, please. On the AZ Mag website. Finally, for those of you who mayors who will be attending the League of Cities and Towns annual conference at the end of August, there will be an Arizona Sonoran partnership meeting with mayors from Sonora joining us in Tucson for an afternoon session to discuss economic opportunity between our adjoining states of Arizona in the United States and Sonora in Mexico. And with that, I would just end by giving my thanks to my predecessor, Mr. Anderson. I know the next item we're gonna talk about and celebrate Eric, but I want to express my personal appreciation to Eric for everything he's done for the region and look forward to further comments about his service. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ed. If you have any comments for Ed or any questions, please see Ed after the meeting. Item number 5 is approval of the consent agenda. Items 5A through 5K are on the consent agenda. Do any members of the committee have questions or request a presentation on any of these items? Seeing none. We do have some speakers for the consent agenda. I'll call you up one by one, and we will still be following the 15-minute rule on this. Hopefully we can get through all of these if we can. Ms. Barker?
Hello again, Chairman Weiss and Mag Mayors. Diane Barker from Phoenix. And the first one is Reimagine Rio Salado. I imagine some of you know it. If you don't, it is a dream of building up the riverbed that's down on South Phoenix. The Corps of Engineers has been working on that for some years. And we have helped out some of the vegetation and wildlife. It's a natural for this area. It's necessary. Riparian areas are something that will supply oxygen and water. And thank you, Mayor Kate, for promoting Alan Stevenson, because he is a natural. He has a background in planning. The other is homelessness on this agenda. And I could see that this area could have elevated homes in the riparian area and starting to put affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barker. I was remiss in not mentioning, Regional Council did receive quite a few public comments. Staff has printed those out for you. I would encourage you to read each comment. Members online, you received those via email. If you need duplicate copies, please ask staff for that. And Andrea, with that, those are the only ones we received, were the ones that were sent to committee before the meeting, correct?
That is correct. It's been provided to all the members, reflected in the minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Jeff, is it Caldwell, sir? Thank you.
Chair, members, thank you very much for allowing us to speak today. I rise in concern on the Prop 400 that you all support. The proposition that you support actually helps take money away from our highway systems and gives it to the public transit. And so that actually impacts the testimony that was from item number 4. But you guys are not a government entity. You are not elected in this body. You are appointed and you join as members. You are not elected by the public for this exact role. I do greatly appreciate your service in the public sector, but this is an organization that should not exist. And the Maricopa County Association of Governments is something that needs to be abolished. Now, with that being said, I do not support the Prop 400 that you all support, because the public needs to have the input at all steps and stages necessary. And I also don't support the DEI agenda that you're trying to implement with this policy. And I strongly recommend that you hire the right people that actually meet the needs of the public. And with that, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. I have a Mr. Sebastian Acosta. I looked in the wrong direction. How are you? Good.
Get a party up in here. All right. Well, I'm sure we're all going to have a lot of fun listening to numbers, stats, graphs, and etc. But I have a little bit of a story for y'all. So this is the story of Jolene. And Jolene trains guide dogs for the city. Now, it goes without mentioning, but Jolene herself is blind. I can't pronounce exactly what it is she has, but she is blind and she has to use a cane to walk around. The only real way for transportation that she has is public transport. And I'm sure most of us are familiar with the lack of mobility that happens with public transport. And her job is vital to the productivity of people in this city everywhere. And, considering the time constraints that I have, I was going to have a much longer speech about her day and all of her happenings and whatnot, but I think we all understand. God knows how many people are working every day, spending money, paying taxes, supporting local businesses, working hard to give us the smooth and inconvenience-free life that we all have. Now, Jolene's story is not a unique one by a long shot. And while I don't necessarily want to be, that guy who's like, oh, think of the humanity, but it's important to remember what we're doing here. People like Jolene need Prop 400 funding in order to have the basic dignity that is the ability to travel where one wishes. I ask for everyone in this room, including those who disagree with me, to reflect upon the outcomes of this, to reflect upon the lives of the people who you are not aware of and of the people who you don't see because you don't take public transportation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Our next speaker is Damian Rainey. Did I say it correct?
Good morning, Council. I'm here to speak on Proposition 400. What the Council decides to do with transportation funding from Prop 400 has the potential to make or break Maricopa's economy. Pursuing a one-sided car-centric model of transportation would have far-reaching consequences that will disproportionately affect the community's most vulnerable residents. Maricopa was the fastest growing county by population in 2022. This rapid increase in population demands that our infrastructure scales with it. Consider the environmental burden posed by a massive influx of new cars and asphalt development. It's well documented that asphalt heats up the surrounding air temperature and that cars contribute to pollution in many ways. Couple this with the fact that Phoenix is already the hottest city in the country, possibly the world. Public transportation would greatly reduce the environmental strain of our large population by decreasing the overall number of cars on the road. More people could get where they need to go and they could all spend less on gas doing it. Lowering the number of cars on the road leads me to my second point, traffic and road safety. Opponents of the continued sales tax in Prop 400 mistakenly claim that public transportation causes traffic congestion. This is putting the carriage before the horse. People who otherwise would not travel by car are forced to because there are no other commute options available. Public transit has the benefit of moving large quantities of people in a small space. Arizona also ranks very high in the nation for car accident deaths, a problem which public transit would help to mitigate. The real question is not how can we afford public transportation, but how can we afford cars? In conclusion, I ask the council to stand for the community and secure Proposition 400 funding for public transit. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for being here today, sir. Our next speaker is Jason Adams.
Hello, Council. I'd like to speak on the fact that we are talking about the expansion of roadways when we are already struggling to maintain our current existing roadways. I always pose the question of, if we can't afford to maintain our roadways, why are we trying to build more of them? So with that said, I think we need to cut funding for roadway expansion and put that into roadway maintenance, and also increase the proportion of funding for public transit, because good public transit is the bones of any good city. All of the great cities I've been to around the world, I've been to Tokyo, I've been to Paris, I've been to London. They all have excellent public transit because they build their cities around public transit. Whereas here in Phoenix, we try to build around the car. We put tens of billions of dollars every decade over decade with no avail of resolving traffic, because you can't build your way out of car traffic because cars are inefficient at moving lots of people. We need more rail transit. We need more bus transit. We need more bus rapid transit, so that way they can skip car traffic, so more people will use the bus. But we just really need to move more funding into public transit to get these projects done. Especially Maricopa County governments have put in a a study for commuter rail. That should definitely be looked into again. So not only do I advocate current spending for public transit, I want the percentage of Prop 400 funding to increase that goes into public transit.
Thank you.
Train good, car bad.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Janet. Is it Patrick? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. First of all, I want to say I appreciate the value of this association to facilitate the cooperation of many projects and services in our county which cross municipal boundaries. That's what you can facilitate on our behalf. But today I'm asking you to remove item 5C from your consent agenda on the basis that you may not understand the full ramifications of endorsing Plan 2050 at this point in time. It was obvious from last week's Transportation Committee meeting that many of the members on that committee were not fully informed. One of the members wisely admitted his lack of knowledge about certain terminology relative to expansion of their authority and asked for a briefing. I hope that that briefing will include people with opposing views who have done a great deal of study on the whole concept relative to our roads and highways. The Transportation Committee was formed to help manage highways and roads. We have seen extraordinary scope creep into that job in terms of expanding into mass transit. By advocating for over 40% of the highway budget to go to mass transit, you're defeating the purpose of that funding. Thank you.
For being here. I appreciate it. Our next speaker is Kathleen, is it Lyles? Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Thank you, Chairman and Council, for the opportunity to speak, but I'm going to speak to the audience for just 1 second. By raise of hands, how many of you took public transit here today? Wowza. So I guess we really support that with all 4 people. I would suggest that we also look at bifurcating the vote between on Proposition 400 and letting the people speak and let you know as a council where we want you to spend our money as you improve roads, add roads, or put in mass transit that 4 people used. Thank you.
We are at our 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and move on from there. Again, I would ask that MAG staff be available for any questions that the public may have on any of these issues. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion, Chair.
Second.
I have a motion from Mayor Orsborn, a second from Mayor Gallego. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Online members, please turn on. I should have said this, Andrea. It's my last time and I messed up. Please turn on your cameras. And do you need me to redo that vote online? Do you want to do that just to be safe? We're going to do a roll call of members online, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, when I call your name, please indicate how you vote. Vice Mayor Scott Moore.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Crane.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Daniel, or excuse me, Ms. Daniels.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hall. Mayor Emercio.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor LaVault.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Molina.
This is Mayor Hall. I'm here.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. Mayor Molina. Mayor Morris.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Ortega.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Pereira. Mayor Bridget Peterson.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Rodriguez.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone online that I missed? Mayor Hall, could you repeat your vote? How do you vote, please?
I vote aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Skip.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. Today's a bittersweet moment, I think, for all of us. We say goodbye to Eric as the head of MAG and honor him for his time that he has spent not only with us, but leading the entire Valley when it comes to transportation. There's probably no greater authority on transportation in the Valley, in the state than Eric. And Eric, I will tell you that your retirement is, while we celebrate that and allow you to have actually a personal life, it is sad. So if you don't mind, I'd like to get through this and then allow you to say whatever you'd like to say, sir. Resolution of appreciation for Eric J. Anderson. A resolution expressing the appreciation of the Maricopa Association of Governments Regional Council to Eric J. Anderson for his dedicated service to the MAG region. Whereas Eric began serving the region in 1983 as a consultant with Mountain West Research and used his deep expertise in data analytics and economic policy to further projects that have shaped the region, such as development of socioeconomic estimates, long-range projections, economic outlooks, and household surveys. Whereas Eric was retained by MAG in 1992 to lead the fiscal analysis unit, which was charged with putting a solid foundation in place for the management and financial integrity of the MAG freeway program. And whereas Eric was hired as the MAG transportation director in 2000 and oversaw many impactful projects, including but not limited to developing the Casa Grande Resolves, guiding MAG technological and research efforts in transportation data, modeling and emerging transportation technologies, delivering the South Mountain Freeway, launching the Broadway Road Curve reconstruction project, and serving as one of the primary architects of Prop 400, the regional sales tax that provides more than $6.6 billion to support the region's highways, arterials, and transit networks, making it one of the best transportation systems in the country. And whereas Eric became the executive director of MAG in April 2018, and in this position guided the development of Momentum 2050, providing a broad vision for the region's multimodal transportation future, and serves as a longtime blueprint for our transportation system, as well as Pathways Home, the regional homelessness action plan for local and tribal governments, bringing together diverse stakeholders to stimulate solutions serving the region's housed and unhoused residents. And whereas Eric has diligently served the community with dedication and expertise, including but not limited to serving as the Valley Metro CEO during a period of transition, a member of the Urban Land Institute Arizona Advisory Board, Lambda Alpha International, the Board of Directors of the Arizona Transit Association, and a founding member of the Connectives executive team. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the MAG Regional Council acknowledge Eric's service to the region and the indelible impact his contributions have made. Can I get a motion on this item, please? I have a motion from Mayor Hartke, a second from Mayor Smith. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Andrea, do you mind doing roll call of the members online, or do we need to?
You don't need to.
We don't need to? Okay, we're good.
Excuse me, Chair Weiss.
Yeah.
This item is not for action, so thank you for asking for that, but it does not require.
No, I understand. No, I understand. I just wanted everyone to vote.
Thank you.
That's okay, Eric. So the final thing was a vote in an affirmative. Eric, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Weiss and members of the Regional Council. This is really a bittersweet day for me as I continue my retirement tour here. A couple more days left. But first of all, I really want to thank my family, my wife, Tina, who have been by my side for 40 plus years and it really has made me a better person. And I just can't say enough that was really the constant in my career for the past 40 plus years. I also want to thank the MAG staff. I think MAG as an organization, we have a national, actually a global reputation as one of the best metropolitan planning organizations in the country. We've dealt with major regional issues relative to transportation over the years. Proud to say that this region continues to have one of the largest highway construction programs in the country. And even Momentum 2050, the majority of the funding goes to freeways and roads. That will continue to be the case, no doubt about it. I also want to thank our member agencies. Once again, the support you all have for this agency keeps us going. Once again, we don't do everything perfectly here, but through your wise guidance, I think we managed to really stay on track here. Very proud of the programs that we have in place, starting with Prop 300 back in 1985, Prop 400 in 2004, and hopefully the extension of Prop 400 moving forward in the future. When we talk about transportation planning, it's not about one thing. It's about a whole bunch of things. And, as I was listening to some of the comments today, I wrote down the word balance. And, transportation isn't about just commuters. It's not just about getting people from home to work and work to home. That's a major part of it. But the majority of the trips on our transportation system, by the way, there's 18 to 20 million trips every day on our transportation system, and account for over 130 million vehicle miles of travel every day on our system. This is a big place. Our planning region covers 10,500 square miles, close to 5 million people, one of the major metro areas in the country. And I'm proud to say that we have one of the lowest levels of travel congestion in the country, especially for a region of our size, much better than many of our peer regions across the country. But it's not just about congestion. It's about providing a safe and secure transportation environment for all the users of our system. And that includes the people that ride public transportation, people that wait for buses and light rail at the stations. Safe access to those facilities extremely important. We have great weather here for the most part, which means that we have a lot of people out walking and bicycling on a regular basis. Perhaps not taking the bike to work, although we have a significant number of people that do that. But once again, transportation planning is much more than just commuters. It's about providing a good transportation system across the entire region. And in particular, making sure that vulnerable users of our system, those that don't have a lot of options, have a way of being productive in this environment. So once again, extremely important work that we do here at MAG. We do more than transportation planning. Our air quality division, our environmental division continues to make progress on our air quality plans. And we continue to implement those. Our human services in terms of the homeless work that we're doing, we've done over the last 2 or 3 years. We're the only one of the few councils of governments across the country that provide a regional context for homeless planning. And I think that's really innovative, and I think it will pay off in the future too. So once again, thank you for your support. Once again, very bittersweet. I really appreciate all your kind words that some of you shared with me privately and some here today. I appreciate that and look forward to the future. Thank you.
Eric, do you mind if we present you with a plaque?
I don't mind.
I'll meet you in the center. Mayor Gallego, would you see if anybody has any comments, please?
Do we have any comments from the Regional Council?
Madam Chair.
Mayor Giles.
I just want to echo what the sentiment that I think many have expressed, Eric, before and after, and I'm sure after this. I had the privilege of working with Eric for the last 8.5 years, and one of those as a chair and one as a transportation policy committee chair. And I think MAG really does the heavy lifting, as we know, regionally on transportation. And I think we all know that our region really is unusual in the level of cooperation that you see regionally. Talk with folks from other parts of the country, and typically they have a lot of stories to tell about the disagreements that occur regionally, and that's just not what happens here. And that's, I think, in large part due to MAG and to the really the tenor that's set, by the leadership of MAG. And Eric has always been able to to keep that very healthy relationship alive and going. And that's critical when it comes to transportation. I really appreciated the way Eric shepherded the process for the preparation for Prop 400 was years in the making. And, but for the disappointing and shocking veto last year, it would have been a wonderful achievement. The momentum plan is a very good plan. And again, I express my appreciation for everyone around this table that voted for that and continues to advocate for that. We need to continue that process. But I'm also very proud of the way that MAG evolved into addressing the problem of homelessness. That again is a critical issue that has to be dealt with at a regional level, and MAG is clearly the organization where that work needs to take place. So thank you for a job well done, and thank you for helping MAG continue to evolve and grow. Eric,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody else? Mayor Orsborn?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Eric, I learned something new every day. You spell your name right, Eric, just like I do, and a wife, Tina. So just for the benefit of the public, want to lay that out there. The reality is I can't thank you enough. And we talked just a little bit about this before in your stepping in a very, very difficult time with Valley Metro. We had a difficult season that we went through where we lost our executive director. And it's not like you didn't have a full-time job here at MAG, but we're very willing to step up and become that interim executive director for as long as Valley Metro needed to keep that organization healthy, to actually kind of help with the reset for Valley Metro. That was a big deal. Showed your regionalism, showed your willingness to step in and make sure that we didn't lose focus on transportation, and from my perspective, cannot thank you enough for what you did there and the outstanding career that you've had here. I think you hit it right on with balance. And every time we've approached you from a city perspective with let's build only freeways in Buckeye, that balance shines through when you explain, here's what the entire region needs, and here's how all of this stuff fits together. So Eric, thank you very much for your service to Maricopa County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Ortega?
Well, Eric, I wanted to say, as your mayor, congratulations. And you chose Scottsdale many years ago to retire to. And we will have closer conversations once you are as a regular citizen and free to roam in Scottsdale. Once again, thank you so much, Eric, for what you've done. Be well.
Thank you, Mayor, and I am a Scottsdale High School graduate too. So
Mayor Ortega, he's really trying to roll you, like get you into whatever role he can.
Absolutely. We will have lunch soon. Enjoy a week or so off, and we will gladly meet up. Thank you so much, Eric.
Ortega. Chairman Sellers?
Thank you. And Eric, you and I have worked together for a long time. And I think something that people don't appreciate enough is what it takes to get consensus throughout this entire region. When you bring all the mayors from all the different municipalities, the Indian communities, everyone into the same room, a Maricopa County supervisor into the same room, and end up getting consensus among that group. It really is a tough job, but you've done an impressive job. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Anyone else? Eric, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Everyone, a round of applause.
All right. So now
That's enough. Is that what you
get on with the meeting.
That's enough.
That's enough.
As a reminder, there'll be a reception for Eric after the event. Will there be more cheers and more applauding? So, Ed, item number 7, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 7 on the agenda, MAG socioeconomic projections. This is one of the important but often unknown tasks of MAG, is to do regional data analysis and collection. So for this item, Scott Wilkin, our data advisory program manager, and I have to give Scott kudos. He's one of the MAG employees who gets the most compliments. Something he does makes people really happy. I'm not sure how that works, and I'm going to learn more about it. But Scott will present this item, which is an action item about the current socioeconomic projections. Scott, with that real big buildup now.
Ed, just for
go for it.
clarification, Scott did really kind of get his start in Avondale, so you're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mayor Weiss. And I don't expect a standing ovation, but I will do my best. As Ed mentioned, I'm here to talk about long-range socioeconomic projections. Let's go to the next slide here. MAG is under responsibility under a standing executive order from 2011 to produce long-range socioeconomic projections. The set that we're looking at today goes from 2020 to 2060. We do this every 3 to 4 years. The last time was adopted in 2019. The biggest need for these is to meet transportation and air quality planning and modeling needs, but we also get all kinds of complicated questions and complex questions about the future of the region, and we can use these projections to answer those questions. Let's go to the next slide. We've got a lot of base data inputs that go into this: Census 2020, American Community Survey. We have all kinds of data in-house and externally that we bring into this. It's a huge effort, and a lot of information goes into it. Next slide. Our review process generally started in January when we draft 0. This is when we wanted to make sure that all of the base inputs we had were up to date and accurate, or as accurate as we could get them. So we met with 22 member agencies, 64 attendees were there. We looked at existing proposed developments. We looked at existing land use, future land use, all kinds of stuff like that. And we also wanted to get some information if anybody had any concerns or constraints due to water or other infrastructure. We wanted to make sure that if our member agencies said, we can't grow beyond this population number because of X, that we don't make them grow beyond that population number. We didn't get any information. We didn't get any feedback like that. Nobody has that kind of maximum, but it was critical to check that. We did a AZ Smart workshop in February. AZ Smart is the model that we use to create these long-range projections, and we did that for our Population Technical Advisory Committee, and some other interested parties were there. And then we had a first draft in April. We met with 25 member agencies and other stakeholders, including State Land, GPEC, ACA, Arizona State University. We had 95 people attend those and give us feedback on the numbers that we had. Also making sure that, again, that there wasn't anything missing, any land use information, any developments that were missing or had been updated. I'm sure you're all aware that the development information and land use information changes basically on almost a daily or weekly basis. And so we want to make sure that we've got as up to date as we could. After we took all that feedback, we had a lot of comments. We did draft 2. We had an online viewer for people to give comments throughout May. We got 13 comments, which resulted in 80+ adjustments for the final draft, which you see in your packet today. We also work closely with Central Arizona governments for the Pinal County portion that's not in the MAG planning area. We work with them. They don't have the staff that we do. And so we want to help them get long-range projections for both all of Maricopa County and all of Pinal County, even if it's outside of our area. Next slide, please. On the screen right now, we see some county level numbers for Maricopa County and Pinal County. That pink line at the top is the projected population growth for Maricopa County from 2020 to 2060. Then the next line down is Maricopa County's employment, 2020 to 2060. And then the bottom two lines are Pinal County's population and employment projected out through 2060. Next slide, please. The next few slides are going to show some population concentration that come out of our projections. These numbers are still draft. The maps are draft until you adopt the numbers. But right now we're looking at 2022, and let's flip through these and we can see 2030 and then 2040, 2050, and 2060. And then the next set are going to give you the same thing for employment concentration. So these are first one's population per square mile. This is jobs per square mile. This is our base year 2022, and next one shows 2030, then 2040, then 50, and then 2060. Next slide, please. We are recommending approval and requesting a motion for approval of the socioeconomic projections population technical advisory in May. actually early June, made a recommendation of approval. Management committee 2 weeks ago made a recommendation of approval. I also want to take a moment to give a couple thanks. I don't know if it's appropriate to call Eric the godfather of long range projections, but he did first set 40 years ago. And we wouldn't be able to do this without him. And we definitely wouldn't be able to do it without our brilliant modeling team. We've got some modelers. Some of them are up here today, some upstairs, and some working from home. But they do an amazing job, and they're all way smarter than me. All I do is talk about it, and that's why I get so many tweets. So with that, I will turn it back over to the chair and answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Scott. Mayor, I know this often seems, data can sometimes seem dry. However, this is really the underpinning of everything that happens in the region. This data makes it possible to do transportation analysis and planning, transit analysis and planning, the projections in our human services, air quality. So this is really a critical function, not the sexiest thing that we do, but it really is a critical function. And so we appreciate your attention to this today and the work that the modeling team does. Thank you, sir.
Scott, thank you to you and your team. Do any members have questions or comments on the data that they saw today? Andrew, anybody online? Nope. Do I have a motion to approve agenda item number 7?
I'll make that motion, Chair.
I have a motion from Mayor Orsborn, a second from Mayor Giles. For members participating online, please turn on your cameras and unmute your audio at this time. Those in the room and online will participate in one voice vote. Please keep your cameras on until the entire voting process has been completed. Can I have a voice vote of both those in the room and online?
Aye.
Aye. I'll say aye, doesn't it? Those opposed say nay. Members, leave your cameras on until after the roll call, please. And staff, do you take a roll call for anybody who didn't?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Give me one moment, please. Mayor Ortega, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Hall, how do you vote? Mayor Hall, I know you're there.
Skip, can you hear us?
And Mayor Bridget Peterson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you.
I'm on the line too. Mayor Molina votes aye.
Thank you, Mayor.
And Mayor Hermosillo votes aye as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Skip, one last shot. Add item number 8, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is a legislative update. Certainly the focus is on Proposition 400 extension efforts. We have Nathan Pryor and John Bullen to give you that update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Regional Council. Since this body last met, we did see the legislature took a break, and that was an opportunity to continue conversations, continue negotiation on legislation, enabling legislation around the extension of Proposition 400. Fast forward to June 10th, we did see Governor Hobbs release a statement encouraging legislators to pass proposed legislation that contained negotiated provisions. 2 days later, on June 12th, the legislature did reconvene. 2 days after that, on June 14th, the legislature did pass Senate Bill 1246, which contained numerous provisions that would not have allowed the region to adopt and implement the transportation plan as this region had adopted. On June 20th, we did see Governor Hobbs veto Senate Bill 1246. We'd like to acknowledge appreciation for Governor Hobbs for working with the region in support of legislation that will enable us to implement the regionally adopted transportation plan. Also on June 20th, the MAG Executive Committee did meet and started to map options and paths forward beyond that. Those options are being analyzed and considered to date. In the meantime, the next milestone in front of us is July 31st, when the legislature is anticipated to reconvene. Between now and then, the conversations are continuing and ongoing. I'd like to thank our member agencies over the course of this past year for your involvement and participation in these conversations. Really like to acknowledge Mayor Weiss as chair and his leadership in this past year, being very active and involved with this. So thank you to our members and Mayor Weiss. And just on a personal note too, I'd like to thank Eric Anderson for his years of leadership and support. So thank you, Eric. With that, Mr. Chairman, I know there's a lot to cover, a lot going on with this. Mr. Zerker, Mr. Bull, and myself are standing by with ready for any questions.
Nathan, thank you for all your work on this. We've had continuing conversations even as of yesterday. So we remain open, members of the legislature remain open to discussion. Our goal is to find a path forward. And I'm encouraged about the meetings that we've had over the last couple of days with the legislature and see if those bear fruit. So thank you for that. Anybody? Yes, Mayor Beck.
So so I had dinner last night with Speaker Toma for about 4 hours and kind of went through some of the topics. And I'm not going to go through all the line items that from the negotiation standpoint, but I think it would be helpful for the mayors to actually understand some of the topics that we're actually coming up against. I'd like to meet with you afterwards if we could and kind of go over some of those topics. From the conversation I had, it seems like there are some compromise pieces. Obviously, Phoenix is a big part of this. You know, there's a huge piece there when it comes to transit. And maybe if we can have a conversation afterwards, I actually think that there's some compromise pieces from both sides that it seems like if we all just went to dinner and actually try to solve this problem, we could actually do that. And the speaker was actually open to that sometime after or mid-month to be able to do that. So I would love to host that and be able to try to get together. The speaker and I've been friends for a long time. And for me, I'm just trying to solve the problem. All of us have a benefit in this. And obviously I know that there's some big pieces of the puzzle, but it doesn't seem like it's that far off. It really doesn't. And the two, you know, from both the speaker and the president's side of it, those are the two that really are the guys that are actually going to hold up the apple for us. And, you know, I continue to hear, I'm obviously a mayor, so I'm not a legislator, but I continue to hear mayors and other politicians and other groups speak poorly about the legislature. The problem is that if we continue to go down this path and just continue to beat each other up instead of actually trying to solve problems for the citizens, not only in our cities, but also the state, we're going to continue to have this issue. So we need to, in my opinion, we need to stop acting like a bunch of 2-year-olds when it comes to that. Stop making negative comments about the legislature, them stop making bad comments about the mayors. I had that conversation as well and really try to solve problems. You know, we've got a lot of business people, a lot of great minds, not only in this room, but on the screen, and also people that are both at the state level and the legislative level. We should be able to solve this problem and be able to find solutions that actually make sense. I've got 11 points from the conversation last night that I'll share with the two of you. I think big pieces afterwards. And I legitimately think that it's that easy to solve, from my opinion. But again, I'm a mayor of a city of 200,000. But I'm also thinking that the way that we all look at this is from a mayor standpoint. It's not just our city. What happens good for Peoria, as an example, is also good for the state. Same thing with Phoenix. We have to look at it from that perspective. And if we just keep going up against them and keep going up against legislators, and it's a us versus them mentality, we have to realize that they're elected just like we are. They're elected differently. We're nonpartisan, but at the same time, we still need to try to work with them to actually solve this problem. So I would appreciate time with some of the group afterwards, if possible.
Thank you, Mayor Beck. We appreciate that. Okay. Nathan, John, thank you. Ed, item number 9, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It's that time of year for the changing over on the July 1st fiscal year for the election of MAG Regional Council and Executive Committee members. This item is on for action and approval. And Mayor, I think you have the slate of nominees from the nominating committee.
I do. The nominating committee recommends the following slate of candidates. Our new chair, Mayor Kate Gallego, City of Phoenix. Vice Chair, Mayor Kevin Hartke, City of Chandler. Treasurer, Mayor Alexis Hermosillo, City of El Mirage, with 3 at-large members. Mayor Eric Orsborn, City of Buckeye. Mayor Bridget Peterson, Town of Gilbert. Mayor John Giles, City of Mesa. Myself, City of Avondale, as the past chair. Do I have a motion to approve the regional council officers and executive committee members as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion from Eric, a second from Joe Pizzillo. Any further discussion? For members participating online, please turn on your cameras and unmute your audio at this time. Those in the room and online participate in one voice vote. Please keep your cameras on until the entire voting process has been completed. Can I have a voice vote of those both in the room and online? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Andrea, do you have to do any voodoo?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Give me one moment, please. Mayor Molina, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Bridget Peterson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone that I missed?
Mayor Edwardsfield votes aye, and I apologize. I'm at the airport, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Perfect, yeah.
I have a short speech, nothing too long. I don't want to be like Sissy Spacek. We really love you. When I assumed this position last June, I made it clear that my foremost priority would be shepherding the Proposition 400 extension through the legislative process. Little did I know the twists and turns that it would at the Arizona State Legislature. It has been a challenging journey, but one that allowed me to see firsthand how talented the team at MAG truly is. The leadership that has guided this ship in the past has been strong, but when Eric announced his retirement, it became apparent that we needed a new leader that could take the reins quickly and effectively, and that leader was Ed Zerker. I am confident that he is what this organization needs to lead us into the future. As any leader will tell you, the team they work with is the best of the business. I have been blessed to work with two of the best in the state. Team Avondale, who has supported the efforts we have undertaken at MAG, and I wanted to take a moment and thank them. Liz, who's my intergov, Ron Corbin, our city manager, the two vice mayors who served while I was chairman of MAG, and a whole host of staff. We're a small city of 100,000 people, and our staff took it upon themselves from every member to see how they could help, and that was incredible to help make this job so much easier. At Team MAG, my effectiveness was and is incumbent on many people, but there are a few who deserve special recognition. Sapna and Andrea, I am grateful for all your help during the past year and your patience, especially today. Audra and John, words cannot do justice to the respect that I have for you and the regard that I hold you in. Don't ever doubt the impact that you have had on this organization and this region. Sam, thank you always for the calls. Sam is our attorney. Sam would call me on Friday night, on Saturday, on Sunday, and it's never good when an attorney calls you, but I always enjoyed the conversations that Sam and I had. Amy, you held the ship together during the transition between Eric and Ed, and I'm grateful for that. I also want to say thank you to the dedicated, passionate intergovs that work tirelessly on Prop 400E. You all have an impact, but I would be remiss if I didn't call out a special group. Liz, Ryan, Jody, Jenna, Miranda, and Heather. Thank you for all the help, all the advice, all the weekend conversations, all the time you took away from your families to help this organization over the last year. As I look around the room, I see mayors from across the valley, and my thoughts are filled remembering all the times you reached out to lend your support or just called to encourage as we pushed forward. Your words strengthened my resolve and the resolve of our organization. John, Kate, Tom, Eric, Joe, Bridget, and Julia, Chairman Sellers, and Chairman Hickman, your efforts and advice during this past year have been incredible. I will tell you I think you all know this, the West Valley mayors get together every month and we have dinner. This day is hosted by Peoria, but we were having, I think it was out in Surprise. And we got done talking and I went around and I went to the bar to grab something to drink, and Tom Schoaf came up, then Eric Orsborn came up, and then Joe Pizzillo came up. And we BS'd for the next hour and a half, just talking about MAG and what needed to be done and kind of the path forward. And those are the kind of conversations through all the difficult times that really do kind of push you forward to keep on going through this process. So thank you very much. A special thank you to my wife, Sherry, who's in the audience. Who fully supported my decision to leave my full-time job and dedicate those efforts to Prop 400E. Over the last year, she has heard more about Prop 400E than any person should be ever have to. Seriously, it was every day, every weekend, everything, phone calls, everything. She's probably the third most learned person on Prop 400E in the state at this point. We've always said that Prop 400E, pass or fail, should go to the voters, and it's up to the voters to decide the fate of this legislation. It is paramount in this debate. As a young boy, my father would take me to the voting booth with him and show me the impact that one person can have on shaping our nation. Those moments with my father have never faded from my memory. And that is what drives me today to ensure that Maricopa County voters get to have their say on this vitally important plan. The funding acquired through Prop 400 is our transportation system's most significant single revenue source. It enables MAG to carry out the crucial mission of transportation improvement and expansion. It ensures the safe mobility of all individuals, whether you live in the city of Avondale or any other community in our region. It plays a pivotal role in driving the economic development and prosperity, not just for our region, but for the entire state of Arizona. I want you to take this into consideration. Regional transportation investments stemming from Prop 400 injected a staggering $1.63 billion into our regional economy during FY 2022. Without these investments, we would be unable to get to work or school or visit the grocery store, even attend medical appointments or spend time with our loved ones. The work we undertake here at MAG impacts the lives of every resident in the region, every resident each day. I am confident, Kate, that you will continue to carry the MAG flag on this critical issue for our region. A large portion of Prop 400E and its importance revolves around the region's ability to navigate EPA regulations regarding ozone. As we strive to protect our communities from the harmful effects of air pollution, we continue to see a tightening of federal ozone pollution standards. This change means that our region has been reclassified from marginal to moderate non-attainment for those ozone pollution standards. MAG is continuing to work with our state, local, and federal partners on options to reduce ozone in the region and to work with our business community as they create thousands of jobs and invest billions of dollars in our region. In all the work that MAG does, and you've heard it tonight or today, we believe in the power of data-driven decision-making, not emotional decisions, not feelings, but facts. By collecting and analyzing data, we gain valuable insights that inform our strategies in various areas, including commute trends, emerging technologies, driver behavior, and safety. I also want to reiterate, over 500 public meetings on Prop 400. Over 10,000 people had direct input into this plan over the years. I think you'll learn, Kate, that you will not be alone. MAG member agencies remain committed to seeing our plan put before the voters and once approved, implemented to the highest degree of success. And that is our goal, to get our plan in front of the voters and let them decide. Another key objective for me in the past year has been to lend support to MAG's work in human services, particularly in addressing the pressing issue of homelessness. Our communities are confronting a crisis as homeless rates continue to rise. Let's be clear, it's neither compassionate or reasonable to allow our citizens to live on the streets, left alone to deal with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and to become victims of predators who represent the true evil that exists in our society. It is my hope that MAG will lend its voice to common sense, comprehensive, and effective solutions to the issues of housing and homelessness. We have continued to make progress in meeting the goals outlined in the Pathways Home Regional Action Plan for local and tribal governments. MAG is in the process of launching a regional public education campaign, Home is Where It All Starts, to change the narrative surrounding affordable rents and mortgages in our region. In light of the steady rise in housing prices over the past years, MAG conducted a comprehensive analysis of the housing market, focusing specifically on housing prices, recent trends, and changes in affordability. This meticulous examination equipped our decision makers with crucial information about housing affordability within their communities, by delving deep into the analysis of housing prices. I think you've all heard me reference Sherry's and mine oldest daughter, Lauren, who by all measures is a successful, educated, and hardworking woman, and how thousands of people like her cannot purchase a home due to a myriad of reasons. This is the first generation not to gain wealth through home ownership, and I will tell you that as a father, it is incredibly sad. But as a society, it is truly a tragedy. These are just a few of the accomplishments MAG has made over the past year. I encourage everyone to read the annual report posted on MAG's website to learn more about their success. I want to thank all of you for your invaluable support over the past year, and I look forward to continuing the important work of our regional council. But now, it really truly is my honor and pleasure, truly, to pass the gavel to our next chair, Mayor Kate Gallego. There's never one more. Mayor Gallego.
Thank you, Chairman Weiss. It has been wonderful to see your leadership of the Maricopa Association of Governments. You have put your heart and soul into this leadership. As you mentioned earlier, you stepped back from your better paying gig to take a free gig because you care so passionately about this region. I've been impressed. You've been willing to share your personal story and what brings you to the work. I have loved getting updates from the legislature about how well informed and well prepared and what a great job you have done representing all of us. And I think you have really tried to represent all of us. You are the elected mayor of Avondale, but you've truly been a leader for the region and an incredibly diverse region with a lot of different needs. And you've really tried to represent us all. In appreciation for your dedicated service as chair, we want to
Thank you.
present
That's
you.
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
And to your family and your Avondale residents, we thank you for sharing Mayor Weiss with us. I've got big shoes to fill and am looking forward to a pivotal year for MAG. I am grateful for the trust that everyone has put in me in this role. We have a robust agenda in the coming months, led by Proposition 400 and trying to give our voters of Maricopa County the power to shape their transportation future. The Regional Strategic Transportation Infrastructure Investment Plan is critical to propelling our region forward and our continued prosperity. Eric and everyone who worked on Prop 300 and 400, we are a strong region because of the work that you have done. And we have a lot of residents who are depending on us to continue to provide a strong transportation system. I have had the chance to meet a variety of people who have shared their stories with me. A disabled veteran of Vietnam who has lost 3 limbs and is in a wheelchair and who rides the light rail because he doesn't want to have anyone have to buckle him in or to have someone lower a vehicle. He wants that at-grade transportation where he can be independent, as we would all want to be. We are working for the student who needs a seamless connection to campus and the mom who wants to get home and spend more time with her kids and less time commuting. We're working for older adults who can no longer take the wheel. The plan is important to every resident of our region. Our transportation legacy is one that demonstrates the care we take in data-driven and community-endorsed decisions. I'm confident that if voters were provided the opportunity, they would weigh in and support our transportation plan. We also have some tough challenges coming up. As Mayor Weiss noted, we have to look at our air quality challenges. We will continue to implement the 3-part strategy to address ozone, including creating a plan for how we move forward and partnering with other levels of government. Our goal is to protect public health while ensuring businesses can continue to grow in our economy. We will also work to protect our most vulnerable citizens. I want to build on the work started by Mayor Wires and Mayor Giles and continued by Mayor Weiss on addressing homelessness, We have a robust regional heat relief network that provides shade, water, and cooling resources for those at risk due to extreme temperatures. We're also continuing our work to be an age-friendly community, our Regional Domestic Violence Council, and providing human services resources. I've appreciated the work on economic development, including and especially the connectivity with Mexico, and I hope to do some work in that area. I also want to talk about the great successes that our region has. We've taken on a lot of challenges, including many cities have a smart city, but we have a smart region initiative. We're the world leader right now in autonomous vehicles. The largest autonomous vehicle zone anywhere in the world is right here with electric vehicles. And that's an area where we hope to see more investment and growth as well. I learned today that I am sitting next to the leader of the largest tribal nation in the country to work on autonomous vehicles. So I suspect that is not the first thing I will learn in this role, and really hopefully we can celebrate our successes and the areas where we really are on the cutting edge. Look forward to working with my colleagues to create policies that impact residents' lives every day, and to working to understand their needs and priorities. It's incredible the work we do at MAG, and I look forward to working with our strong staff. Appreciate Mayor Weiss in leading our search to select Ed Zerker. And Ed, thank you for taking on this important role. This and my remarks today are just a small sampling of the 10 divisions working at multiple levels to improve the quality of life in our region. So I want to thank you for allowing me to serve as your chair, and I look forward to working with all of you and trying to continue the great momentum from Mayor Weiss. And my first role is to request future agenda items. Are there any requests from members of the Regional Council for future agenda items? I do have one from Mayor Smith of Maricopa who needed to leave. She said there was a great presentation from ADOT at the June meeting in Florence that talked about gas tax revenue, which is something we have already discussed at MAG Regional Council. But Mayor Smith recommends that we get that same data so we can coordinate with our state government and understand that challenge. So that seems like a good request. Any additional requests? Agenda item 12. Are there any comments or announcements from the committee? Vice Chairman.
I just want to thank you, Ken, and Mayor, we're excited about the ongoing direction, and however we can continue to keep this organization moving in the direction we are to serve our entire community. We're committed. So thank you and thank you.
Thank you. And I want to remind everyone there'll be the reception for Eric Anderson immediately following today's meeting down the hall in the Ironwood Room. The next meeting of the Regional Council will be on Wednesday, August 23rd at 11:30 a.m. We are adjourned.